but you actually feel quite personally affronted. And once you understand about autism, you can put that to one side and see, now I've seen so many children with autism that you just sort of, oh yeah, they're autistic, that's fine. And you can talk to them and you realise that they can still indeed get quite a lot out of interacting with you, even though they might not be giving off the signals that you expect people to do. They might not be smiling back at you. They might not be looking at you. It doesn't mean that they dislike you, which I think tends to be the sort of reaction that we would naturally get.
And can you leave him alone?
No. Rohan cannot be left alone. Rohan's got to have someone to watch on him all the time. Yeah. We cannot sit down and do anything. We have to keep an eye on him all the time. I mean, like in the backyard, as I said to you, like he'll climb up the tree, or he'll climb the neighbor's place, So we've got to watch him all the time. Yeah.
To merit a diagnosis of autism, there are these three main areas of function that have to be affected. One is your ability to communicate, and most children with autism are late in starting to talk, and then when they do, some of them never do, quite a high percentage of them never really develop functional speech. But other children do learn to talk, but quite often the way they use language is rather strange, and so they might use it in a rather stereotyped fashion.
Louder. You say no.
Louder.
No bigger.
No, louder.
No bigger.
Another whole area is your social interaction, and perhaps that's the area that's most focused on difficulty getting on with other people, or really appreciating the need to get on with other people. Some children with autism seem to be uninterested in people and much more interested in things.
He's very obsessed at the moment with just with leaves. Yeah. So that's just the feel of them and just to twirl them. But he's very, he only likes certain type of leaves. We don't know what type of leaves they are, but he seems to know. Yeah. That's the thing. So sometimes when he wants a leaf, when we give it to him, he wouldn't want it. There's something about that leaf. So that's the thing. So it's very hard for us to understand what that is, but that's the kind of thing that he has, you see.
Again, in other cases, you might have somebody who's interested as they get older, perhaps would like to have friends, but doesn't know how to go about it, doesn't know how to perhaps read other people's facial expression or tone of voice, doesn't appreciate when somebody's angry with them.
My son was killed. He was 19. He was killed a couple of years ago by a very drunk driver. You mustn't drink and drive, folks. It causes lots of problems. We had about 300 people come to his funeral. And it was a really wet, windy day, just right sort of funeral atmosphere, just really grey. But all these people were outside, and we had Matthew in this coffin up front. And the kids had done a great job with decorating it with photographs, his brothers and sisters, and bits of paraphernalia that Matthew loved. But all these people were outside, so Wendy's trying to be really socially sensitive, use her intuition that it's not right that these people are outside and they're out in the weather, and they're here to celebrate that, Matthew's life. So I stand down in front of the coffin and I say, "Hey, everybody, he's dead, he won't bite. Come on in." All right? Okay. Now, I thought this was a good bit of wisdom. I delved into my monotropic understanding of what was the right thing to say, and I got it wrong.
And if he screams or if he does anything silly, then people start to stay. That's the other thing. So that becomes a bit of a, and then my daughter gets embarrassed and she wants to leave. And sometimes he doesn't understand, he'll touch other people's hair and, things like that.
I've been very, very tactile defensive, and I don't like it when people touch me. And some of that is because it literally can be painful. Other times it's because the suddenness of someone coming in, I'm unsure what they're going to do. Or I've gone to the other extreme where I've wanted to stroke somebody. And unfortunately, that's not allowed. You can't just go up to somebody who has the light shining in the back of their hair and start stroking their hair, because it gets you into trouble. I don't like skin touching skin, so I put I have to wear either pyjamas, so that there's this divider between my legs, or I tuck the sheet down inside my legs so that the skin doesn't touch. And I know it might seem a bit strange, but it's very comforting too, actually. Yeah. And I am like many other people with autism, and we have a lot of sensory difficulties, so that sound can seem much louder, I think, sometimes for us. I used to hear the school bus coming way before other children did. I was up and ready to let you guys in yesterday when I heard the car pull up, and the microwave bells actually can hurt my ears. A certain pitch and certain sounds are quite painful, and fluorescent lights are a nightmare. They're blinking all the time, and the noise from the motor, it's like a dripping tap. It's quite painful. I was in hospital with osteomyelitis. I had it quite severely. I was there for almost a year, and it came round to my 10th birthday, and the nurses came in with a cupcake with a huge white candle in the middle. They all gathered around my bed, and some of the other patients did as well. I was absolutely terrified. I had no idea what their gathering around my bed with this candle in this cake meant. So I hid under the doona, and I thought, if they think I'm dead, they'll leave me alone. And I tried not to breathe or do any kind of movement or any kind of response. And I laid still while they prodded and spoke to me and sang happy birthday about 3 times and called my name and whatever. About 10 minutes I laid still until they went away. I would be very focused on perhaps a bird singing outside the window, or I'd be focused on looking at what the work was requiring, and then a child would cough or someone would talk, and my attention was constantly being distracted.
She was a very difficult baby, very, very, just a real high needs, high demand baby, screamed a lot. Basically made our life very difficult. This way, Georgie, this way.
2 children, a boy, Benjamin, who's almost 7, and Georgia, who's 4.5, basically. Yeah.
Well, we have a research study running here, which is looking at the genetics of autism. And our real interest here is we know from previous studies that there is quite a strong genetic influence on autism, but nobody really understands how it operates.
There's cousins of George's that have, like ADD. There's history of depression on some sides. They say that, that can be a factor. I have a brother with dyslexia, and also a grandfather who I'm pretty sure was dyslexic, not diagnosed, but yeah, pretty sure. So there's definitely links there. Are you going to walk nicely in the shop and be a good girl? Yeah? Going to be a good girl? She screamed a lot for everything. We constantly were pulling into McDonald's just in the car because she hated the car.